those who are listening in places like Sunshine City, St. Martin, and Anguilla, those down there in Rock City, St. Thomas, and St. Croix, St. John, the U.S. Virgin Islands, of course, the British Virgin Islands as well, Tortola, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, Jos Van Dyke. Wherever you are, good evening to you, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. Good evening to our friends and family in the United States, those in North America, the United States of America, and, of course, Canada, those in places like Toronto and Kitchener, and those places. I know there are lots of divisions all around there. I say good evening to you. Good evening to our friends and family as well in places like Boston and Connecticut. I know there are lots of our friends and family in New York and New Jersey. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to those in Florida, wherever you are. In the UK, US, Caribbean, wherever you are. If you are in Wuhan, China, and you can't travel now because of coronavirus, nevertheless, you might be tuned in. And I say good evening to you. Welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and we're going to be here for about 2 hours this evening from 8. We hope to make it to 10 o'clock. The reason I'm saying that is because, as you know, we are in campaign mode here. This is the final night of campaign before the people of St. Thomas's Parish, the good people of St. Thomas's Parish, go to the polls tomorrow. Tomorrow, the 5th of March, will be an historic day here, because that is the day that the people there go to find a representative to replace the Honorable Joseph Parry, who has decided to call it a day. And the people there, therefore, will vote tomorrow. The polls open at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they go until 6 p.m. And it is my fervent hope and desire, as we continue to encourage, to agitate, to advocate, that our people go out and vote in overwhelming numbers for the concerned citizens movement. The big blue machine, make your X next to the hammer, because that is the only vote we feel that makes sense in the circumstances of this particular election. Why do we say that? We say that for the simple reason that this election, the government will not change. Come Friday, once God gives me life, I will still be the Premier of Nevis. The Honorable Alexis Jeffers will still be the Deputy Premier of Nevis. The Honorable Eric Evelyn, the Honorable Spencer Brand, the Honorable Troy Leiber, the Honorable Hazel Brandy, we will all still be your government and your cabinet members. All that tomorrow determines is who will replace Mr. Parry and who will represent the good people of the St. Thomas's Parish in the Parliament. Now, there is, however, an important difference. If the people were to go out and vote for the NRP, then they're merely voting to send someone to opposition. One seat. That's all there is that's up for grabs. One seat. If, however, they are persuaded to vote for the CCM candidate, then they have the golden opportunity to send someone to government. For the first time in the history of St. Thomas's Parish, they would have voted for a CCM candidate in overwhelming numbers to send that candidate to the Parliament as their representative, but more importantly, in the context of this by-election, where the government has already been decided to send their candidate to the government and to the cabinet. And that is a simple argument that we have been making. The cabinet is the business side of things. The government is where you get things done. There's no difficulty about people being in opposition. I understand that, to be sure. But in the context of an election, which will not determine the government, will not change the government, the people of each constituency, and in this case the people of St. Thomas's, have to ask themselves a very simple question. Are we better off voting for the NRP when we know that that vote will send our representative to opposition? Or are we better off voting for the CCM where we know that that vote will send that representative to the government and to the cabinet? And we have made a case over and over, night after night. Tonight we have our final rally. That final rally will be in Cotton Ground. Many say it's the heart of St. Thomas's. And we are taking the message, a message of hope, a message of what is possible, a message of change, a message of making history tomorrow to the good people of Cotton Ground, as we did last night to the people of Jessops, and as we have done each and every night. Craddock Road, Jessops, Barnesgate, Cotton Ground, Westbury, and parts in between. We have walked the streets, we have spoken to people, we have knocked on doors, we have made the case that the candidate for the Concerned Citizens Movement, Keith Scarborough, is the best choice in these circumstances, because the other choice, the NRP, does nothing for the people of St. Thomas's, gives them no representation in the government. Now, some have said that if the people were to vote for the CCM, it will give the CCM all the seats in government. My question is, so what? The reason I say it like that is because that is not a novel occurrence in our region. In Grenada, Prime Minister Keith Mitchell has all 15 seats. In Barbados, the great Mayor Motley has all 30 seats. This is not to say that opposition is unimportant or there's any effort to stifle opposition. Indeed, I will remind the people of Nevis that Joseph Parry was the only man who won a seat for the NRP in the 2017 election. The only man. I will remind you further that in the 2 years that Joseph Parry sat in opposition, he hardly made a sound. In fact, he most often was not in Parliament, and in fact, on the last budget, just last year, December, he did not attend Parliament at all. And so, that was Mr. Parry. We understood he was coming to the end of a very long tenure as a politician and as a representative. But nevertheless, that was opposition. The question that I asked you in those 2 years, what did Mr. Parry get accomplished for the people of St. Thomas's? And you have 3 years more of a CCM government. What could the representative for the NRP, being the sole member on the opposition benches, going to the Parliament once every 2 or 3 months as we convene that Parliament, get done for the people of St. Thomas's? If you want a road fixed, if there are problems with your basketball court and your playing fields, with your health center, there are problems with your community centers, your lighting, your water supply, your electricity, whatever the problems may be, does she have the ability to get those problems fixed for you on her own? The answer is no. It is not a courtesy to the young lady. I met her this afternoon for the very first time. Prior to this afternoon, I had never met her before. So not a courtesy to her at all. The question, however, is what will she be able to accomplish for you? Now, with a representative in government, with a representative in the cabinet, you have the capacity to call on your representative and to say, when you go into cabinet on Wednesday morning, I want you to agitate because we need lights over here in this area. The electricity supply over here needs sorting out. The water needs done. This needs done. That needs done, because you've sent someone into the cabinet. That is the business end. The business end, that is where decisions are made, policies are constructed, and money is allocated. And so if we have in our budget $2 million for roads, and there are roads all across the breadth of Nevis that need to be done, we recognize that. Everywhere I go, people are saying my road is bad, and I'm saying to them, please hold strain. We're trying to do the best that we can. Who at the table will advocate for the people of St. Thomas's? Yes, as Premier of Nevis, I look out for everyone. I believe the evidence is clear on that account. But how much more if you have your own representative? Because at the end of the day, I am Premier of all of Nevis, to be sure. And I look out for all of Nevis, to be sure. But I am also the representative for the good people of St. John's, who have sent me. So when the good people of St. John's who have sent me said to me, Prim, we need something done here in Brownhill or in Church Ground. We need something done here in Hermitage. We need something done in the metropolis of Bath. I am asking you the question, who in that cabinet will be the advocate, the champion for St. Thomas's Parish. Now, when you voted in 2017, I understood that. You voted based on your history. You voted for Mr. Parry because he was the leader of the NRP. You voted perhaps because you hoped that the NRP would get into government. Well, all of that is now irrelevant. It is irrelevant because we know the NRP will not get into government for the next 3 years because we are only 2 years into a 5-year term. We know that Mr. Parry stepped aside as leader of NRP, and Mr. Parry has now stepped aside from the politics altogether. In other words, Mr. Parry done with that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, of St. Thomas's, and I speak directly to you, my brothers and sisters over there, my fellow Nevisians and residents, you have to ask yourself that question. The NRP of Sir Simeon Daniel, the NRP of Joseph Walcott Parry, that NRP is not the NRP that we have today. The NRP that we have today is the NRP of Elhansville Hector and Kelvin Daly and Patrice Nesbitt. It is a shadow of what it once was. Many say that where the NRP had giants of the past, it now has puppets today. Little boys masquerading around, going on radio every day and making noise, because that is what they do. That is their capacity. They have no capacity for great ideas, no capacity for leadership. Some have discovered things about themselves now in the winter of their years. They've discovered charity. They've discovered that they can donate to causes. And they're champions of the people now. Now that they're elderly. And so I ask you, is that the NRP that you wish to support? Roberto Hector Elhansville, as I like to call him, because that's how his mother christened him, has the worst record of any politician in the history of the Caribbean. And I say that without any water in my mouth, because I have the evidence to support it. After Mr. Parry left, and we know when Mr. Parry was there, Mr. Parry didn't have the support of Hector. He didn't have the support of Patrice Nesbitt. We know this. We know that there were two cabinets. There's a cabinet of Joseph Parry, Hensley Daniel, and the boy Buster. And then there was a cabinet of Hector and Patrice, the two musketeers. That cabinet of Hector and Patrice is the cabinet that went and formed Orley Attorneys, the law firm. When Hector was chairman of the corporation, the land corporation, and Patrice was a member of the board, they formed the law firm Orley Attorneys, and the two of them started to do the work up at the corporation to get paid there. Whilst Patrice was legal advisor to the same government, and Hector was chairman of the corporation and minister with responsibility for lands. I'm not making this up. The evidence is there. Indeed, when I broke the news on the house to Mr. Parry, I believe that Mr. Parry, who has always been a decent man, that Mr. Parry was shocked beyond measure to learn that this is what this cabinet, this breakaway cabinet that he had within his cabinet, these two musketeers, that is what they were up to. Well, them now are the ones who control NRP. So I asked the people of St. Thomas's. NRP used to be bedrock foundation in St. Thomas's. You had Sir Simeon Daniel, the founder. You had people like Joseph Parry who succeeded him. You had the great orator, Victor J. Martin. You had people like Tessie Nesbitt, the stalwart. Where are they today? Where are people like that today? And the answer is St. Thomas's, that the NRP has left you. The NRP has left you. And I'm saying that the NRP has left you. It is now time for you to leave the NRP and to consider that the CCM provides an option for you, a viable option, to take you into government. The people of Gingerland have spoken. The people of St. James, the great parish of St. James, have spoken. The people of St. Paul's, our capital, have spoken. The people of St. John's have spoken. And all four parishes have spoken with the same voice that CCM is the better choice to govern Nevis. Only the people of St. Thomas's kept with their history and voted for Mr. Parry in the last election. Well, Mr. Parry is now gone. Mr. Parry is now gone. And the person they brought to replace Mr. Parry, even as we walk through the constituency of St. Thomas's, the very people of St. Thomas's are saying, we do not know this candidate. She might have been born in cotton ground, but we do not know her. She has not been a part of our community. She has not been contributing to our community. She has not been involved in our community in any way, shape, or form. She has been parachuted in like a paratrooper, and we are now being told to go out and vote for her. That is not discourtesy to the young woman. I don't know anything about her. But I know that the good people of St. Thomas's deserve more than that. Had they brought someone who was enmeshed in that community, someone you could point to and say, boy, every two can knock in Jessops, that person is there. Every two can knock in Barnesgot, that person is there. That person is there in Cotton Ground and in Westbury. But that is not the case here. And we know why it happened. Let us face facts. Mr. Parry recognized that when he was premier, he did not have the support of Hector and Patrice. He knew that. He did not have their support. They did everything that they could to undermine him. Because we know Hector's always had delusions of grandeur. He wants to be premier. He wants to be in charge. He won't get there, but he wants it. And so they did everything to undermine him. And when at the end of the day, Mr. Parry, a decent man from Cotton Ground, decided to call it quits, he understood that the same Hector and Nisbet and the new sexagenarian they have now, all of them were lining up, mouth watering, frothing at the mouth, to get what they think is a safe seat in St. Thomas's. That is what was happening. And Mr. Parry said no. So the severe fella from up Gingerland, well, he's from Rollins, but he live up somewhere in St. John's. That severe fella brought Mr. Parry this young lady and said to Mr. Parry, I have somebody who I believe should replace you. And Mr. Parry liked the idea because it solved a problem for him. He would get somebody to replace him of his choosing, and at the same time he would ensure that none of the new people that control the NRP were able to get their hands on St. Thomas's Parish. And you know what Mr. Parry did? Mr. Parry didn't go to no meeting, you know. He didn't go to any constituency meeting. Mr. Parry went to a Christmas tree lighting in Jessops and made the announcement that this young woman would be replacing him. They call that fait accompli. He made sure that he announced it publicly. They couldn't do a thing about it. And so Mr. Parry, while he was on his way out, made his final statement that you fellas undermine me. Well, I'm going to do this before I leave. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what of the people of St. Thomas's? What of the people of St. Thomas's? What about them and their representation? Because in all these machinations, we see people trying to get at each other inside their own party. We see those who undermine Mr. Parry and Mr. Parry having the last laugh, saying none of you are going to get control of St. Thomas's. But what of the people? And do the people of St. Thomas's not deserve the right to have a representative who is from them, who is of them, who they know, and who knows them? And I ask that question because I could not be so bold at this stage of my life, having been born in Hanley's Road, to ask them to catapult me, parachute me into Hanley's Road to say that I'm the new candidate in St. George. I believe that the people of Hanley's Road deserve somebody who has been with them, who knows them, who knows their issues, who sees and understands their pain, who has lived among them. And that is the point that we have been making. That somebody who just parachutes in for purposes of an election, selected to spite these fellas, the new puppet Jessops, and of Barnesgot, and of Cotton Ground, and of Westbury, and of parts in between. I'm talking to you. And I'm saying to you, what is the representation that you want? What is the representation that you require for yourselves and for your children and grandchildren, for the next generation of people from St. Thomas's Parish? What is it you want? Because my view is that this opportunity that presents itself tomorrow is for you to send somebody directly into the government. If after 3 years we go back to a general election and your candidate sent to government has not performed, then clearly you have an opportunity to weigh him and to go back to the polls in 3 years and deal with him if he has not performed. But you know that if you send the NRP representative, then you have made up your mind that you're going to stay in opposition. You have made up your mind. And I'm saying, in the context in which we find ourselves, staying in opposition is not an option for the people of St. Thomas's. It's not an option. Because there is nothing for you to gain by voting for the NRP. Absolutely nothing. You may give, of course, the young woman a salary by being a member of the parliament. But this is not about her. It's about you. What do you gain in terms of effective representation to get things done in your parish? What do you gain? And the answer is nothing. What do you lose? If I put it in the reverse. What, on the contrary, I'm sorry. What do you lose in voting for the CCM candidate? The truth is, you lose nothing and you stand to gain everything because you are sending somebody to the government. Somebody sent me something today and they said the NRP is campaigning and asking the people of St. Thomas's to vote to send them to opposition. The CCM is campaigning and asking the people of St. Thomas's to vote to send them to government. You hear the difference? You hear the difference? Let me say it again. The NRP is campaigning and asking the people of St. Thomas's Parish to send their representative to opposition. The CCM is campaigning and asking the good people of St. Thomas's Parish to vote for the CCM candidate to send that candidate to government. That's a fundamental difference in terms of approach, philosophy, and potential outcome. And so I'm saying a number of things to the people of St. Thomas's. You deserve good representation. Absolutely. You deserve representation that can bring results for you and your community. Absolutely. The NRP that you have been loyal to over the decades is no more. I think all of us could agree to that. Even the NRP members themselves agree to that. Because a lot of them are not happy with the current leadership of the NRP. The NRP that was grounded and had its foundation in St. Thomas's Parish, that NRP is no more. The other night, they had a launch, another launch of the young candidate for the NRP. And I was told that at the launch, all the Labour stalwarts and bigwigs from St. Kitts came over. Told Dr. Douglas, Jeffrey, young Jeffrey, the candidate over there for #1, and others, they came over. And I smiled to myself because I said, you know, if we know our history, we would know that Sir Simeon Daniel, Ivor Stevens, Tessie Nisbet, the stalwarts of old, that they formed the NRP with the avowed purpose of fighting against Labour. Bratcher's Labour. And I remind all of you that Bratcher was Robert Llewellyn Bratcher. He gave way to Lee Llewellyn Moore. And then he gave way to Denzil Llewellyn Douglas. All of them are Llewellyn. You hear what I tell you? Robert Llewellyn Bratcher gave way to Lee Llewellyn Moore, who gave way to Denzil Llewellyn Douglas. 1 Llewellyn, 2 Llewellyn, 3 Llewellyn, all of them are Llewellyn. And all of them have had the same attitude towards the people of Nevis. That is what Sim Daniel, Ivor Stevens, Tessie Nisbet, and the stalwarts of old That is what they were set up to fight against. Look at this NRP now, led by these three stooges. Look at it now. The three stooges, Hector, Patrice, and Daly. They are going to launch this young woman, and the Labour cohort comes over to join them. And ask yourself, is that your NRP, St. Thomas's? Is that your NRP? The NRP of Sir Simeon Daniel, the great national hero Sir Simeon Daniel, is no more. And let us face it, I listened very carefully to Joseph Parry at the NRP convention when he stepped aside and allowed them to elect their new leader. And he made a very important point. You know what he said? That the party ought not to be for sale. That business people wanted to make a contribution should not think that they will be buying the NRP. And he knows why he said it. Because he understood that the current leadership was selected and paid for, bought and paid for by businessmen on the outside. Those who want power but can't stand in any election because they'll be rejected by the people of Nevis, and so they try to buy it by getting these puppets for a few pieces of silver and trying to buy the party. That is what has happened. Mr. Parry foretold it. He said it ought not to be allowed to happen. But we know that the current leadership, spineless as it is owned hook, line, and sinker. We know that. Bought and paid for 30 pieces of silver. And so again I ask the people of St. Thomas, is this the NRP that you're loyal to? That NRP, my friends, the NRP of the great Sir Simeon, the NRP of Tessie Nisbet, the NRP of Victor J. Martin, that NRP is dead, gone. And so I don't see that loyalty needs any longer to be there, because the NRP of today is not loyal to the people of St. Thomas's. They have left St. Thomas's, and I'm saying to the good people of St. Thomas's, you now must leave them, and you have an opportunity to do so tomorrow. An opportunity to do so. And that is what we are asking you to do. We are asking you to go out early before you go to work. Make your mark for the Concerned Citizens Movement. Make your mark for the candidate of the Concerned Citizens Movement. Make your mark for Mr. Keith Scarborough. Make your mark for the Hammer. And ensure that you send your representative to government. You hear how many times I've said so already for the night? Ensure you send your representative to government. Now it's 8:30, and I know our meeting, our big meeting, our final rally in the heart of Cotton Ground is already taking off. I said to the team that I will come here first. I will seek to join the rally by the grace of God after. I'm asking you, if you are out there on the road, head over to Cotton Ground. Go and hear the message, and it's a message of hope, a simple message. A message which says to the people of the great parish of St. Thomas is that for 21 of the last 28 years, you have been in opposition. You have been loyal to the NRP all these years, and they have rewarded you with putting you in opposition more than any other parish. The people of St. James have been in government. The people of Gingerland have been in government. The people of St. John's are always in government. The people of St. Paul's have been in government. You, on the other hand, have been in opposition, in the cold, wintry opposition for all these years. I'm saying tomorrow is a glorious dawn. A wonderful opportunity to change that, to change your fortunes and the fortunes of your constituency. And to say that we are no longer going to be dependent on a premier who says he's looking after everybody. Because whilst that is good and is to be encouraged and applauded, no, we will be dependent on our representative, because we're going to send him to sit right down there in the cabinet room and to say to him, listen, when you go in there, make our case for us, because you live among us. You have lived with us for 35 years. You know our issues. You know our people. You know our community. Take our case to the cabinet and bring the results so that our people can see even more development, more than we're seeing now. Because much has happened there under CCM administration. But how much more could happen? How much more could happen? I was looking the other day and going through, and I say, you know, the people of St. Thomas's have not voted for the CCM. But my own style and the style of my government is that all of us are divisions and nobody should be left out. We have said so. I have got some licks fit. Some even of my strongest supporters have berated me to say that they and they alone must get, and I have said no. That is the NRP way, that is not the CCM way, and that is not my way. We are all divisions. And if there's food sharing in Nevis, everybody must eat. That has always been my position. That is why you don't hear no hue and cry nowadays about victimization, because there's none. The people of Nevis are having an opportunity. All the people of Nevis are having an opportunity. And we have not left out the St. Thomas's Parish at all. I remind people that whilst the Four Seasons was brought here under an NRP administration, we, the CCM, have brought a significant, globally known investor to buy it, who has put over $60 million US into it in refurbishments over the last 3 years. We met Paradise Beach closed, shuttered and rotten. We fought with the owner to bring it back on stream and to expand it to increase the size. As I did my walkthrough in the great, beautiful area of Cohoon, something I'll talk about in a moment, I saw one young man, he had on his shirt, it said Paradise Beach. And I said to him, you work there? He said, yes. I said, how many of you work there? He says, about 59. I said, to God be the glory. 59 Nevisians, residents, making a bread, taking home something to their families every week or every month. Because this government, the CCM government, had the vision, the foresight, the perseverance to ensure that Paradise Beach not just reopened but expanded. Ladies and gentlemen, it's in the heart of St. Thomas's, right there by the St. Thomas's Church. We are about to start the park at Pinny's, right there in St. Thomas's. Four Seasons, right there in St. Thomas's. Somebody commented to me the other day, they said that the St. Thomas's Parish now has 2 international banks, the Bank of Nevis International in Cotton Ground and Nevis International Bank and Trust in Barnscott. They say people over there signing a petition so they want the place renamed Wall Street. That is what is happening. We have not picked out. When the people came with it and said, no, you can't go in St. Thomas's don't support CCM. We said, no. We want every nook and cranny, every highway and byway, every village and hamlet in this island to develop. Because that is the hallmark of CCM leadership. We have always been for all of our people. We say people matter most. That's some of the people. All the people matter most. And that has been our approach to governance. And the evidence is there. We went over to Cohoons. We met in Cohoons. Half of the development done by the NRP. Some of it on land that they had compulsorily acquired. That those are big words. All it means is they take people land. But they never paid for the land. Let me tell you that again. They took people's land. They never paid for it. It was the CCM government that had to find the money to pay. And we're grateful to those landowners who were patient with us. One of them is my dear friend. I won't call his name. Maybe he would call in when they open the lines to talk about his experience, because he and I spoke time and time again about the fact that he could not get his money for his land. The NRP took the land, started to build house, but never paid for the land, creating difficulties for people getting their title for their homes. The playing field and cotton ground, they took lands there too, never paid for it. And we had to come in, clean up all that mess. And we are proud that we put in infrastructure in Cohoons, phase 1. And we have built Cohoons phase 2, I hear it's called Cohoon Manor. Beautiful roads, lights, all the infrastructure underground. And the homes, beautiful neighborhood. And as I walked through, I saw the pride, people beaming with pride, and I say, that is what we're seeking to achieve in Nevis, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful homes, people developing, having something, young people for their families and their children, and having, most importantly, their title, because a government that is responsive and responsible paid for the land that the NRP had taken from divisions and not paid for. And you think it's just there? NRP take land here at the top of Government Road, didn't pay for it. They took the old West Haven property, didn't pay for it. They take more lands over in Cohoons, didn't pay for it. They take land down on the beach, didn't pay for it. 14 pieces of land that we can count that the NRP took from the divisions and never paid for. Never paid for. In fact, the land at West Haven, even now, I am forced to sit and prostrate myself before the owners, the former owners, I'm sorry, and to say to them, please have mercy on us, because the $20+ million, the government doesn't have it to pay. That is what I have to deal with. The headaches that I have because of the poor management of this country by the NRP. You all think this is easy? And so we had to pay for the lands in Cohoons and now develop Cohoons, and the people of Nevis have been the beneficiary. In Jessops, they started a housing development in Jessops, but no infrastructure, no roads, people walking on mud. Infrastructure has been put in by us. The back road in Jessops, put in by us. We have, ladies and gentlemen, started the Island Main Road. We could have started it in many places. But the cabinet at the end of the day was unanimous. We will start it at 5 Tonning in Cotton Ground and take it over to Cliff Dwellers. And then we'll continue from there. All of these have been initiatives. St. Thomas's Primary School, I was there just this afternoon for the sport. I thank them for the receiving me. Beautiful afternoon with the good people of St. Thomas's. And as I went there this afternoon, I looked and I said, listen, because the Honorable Troy Libel as Minister of Education comes time and time again, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. We've always been there with the good people of St. Thomas's Primary. We've continued and will continue. Above Cohoons, my good friend Leighton Thomas has a development that he has done there. We see a development there now in Pinnes, Belmont, I think it is called, all being done with concessions from a CCM government, partnership with a CCM government, all being done in the parish of St. Thomas's. Well, good God, if you have done so well, when you have not sent a representative to the cabinet, imagine when you have somebody there, principally advocating for you, principally arguing for you, principally making the case for you. Now I have listened to this young woman who has come, and I heard her in one speech suggest that she is going to, if elected, now hear this carefully, hear this, if she's elected into opposition, to have one seat in opposition, she's going to do some polyclinic in St. Thomas Parish that could double as a hospital, a second hospital for Nevis. Beautiful idea. Only one question. How? Little word, big meaning. How? H-O-W. How? You must ask how. Because no project can be done which is a public sector project, unless that project is done by the government. Think about it. No entity by law can appropriate funds from the Treasury for any project to be done unless it's done by the government, only a government minister, and in my case as Minister of Finance, can appropriate funds for expenditure on roads, clinic, hospital, school, or otherwise. And so all that an NRP representative could do, if the NRP is successful tomorrow, is to write a letter or call the government. Call me as the Premier and say, Prem, I would like so and so and so and so done. Because they have no power to do it on their own. They're not part of the government. They're not part of the cabinet. They can't go in and make noise and say, I want a polyclinic done over there, so I need $10 million. I'm agitating for it on behalf of my constituents, because they're not at the table. And that's what I want people to understand, and understand very clearly. And I know the people of St. Thomas's Parish get it. I know the message is resonating. I know people understand that which we are saying to be true. That this is not about sentimentality tomorrow. This is about making the right decision so that you have proper and effective representation going forward. That is what it's about. And that is why we are asking, we have come to you, we think, with a good candidate. A man who's a cultural icon in Nevis. You know, people say what they will about all of us. None of us is above reproach, and all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of the Lord. All of us. Show me the man that is without sin. Let him cast the first stone. I believe those words came from Jesus Christ himself. And so, all of us lack perfection. But each of us, in our own imperfect way, presents ourselves to the service of our people. And that ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, is all that we seek to do. People sometimes say to me, oh, you're not like a Malcolm. Malcolm used to do this. Oh, you're not like a Vance. Vance used to do that. And I say, that is so. I can only be like me. And I must try in my own imperfect way to serve as best as I can, because that is all we can do. I can't be Van Samry. I can't be Malcolm Gishard of blessed memory. I could only be Mark Brantley. And so when I look at St. Thomas's, I see a man in Keith Scarborough. And you know what I see in Keith Scarborough that impresses me the most about him? I'm going to tell you something tonight. Keith Scarborough has made history in our region as the most consistent calypsonian and purveyor of the art form of calypso in any country in the Caribbean. He entered the calypso arena as a young man, some 30 plus years ago, and he has competed in every single calypso competition, every one, since he entered the arena. Others compete this year, they lose, they say they get cheat, then they come back next year. 2, 3 years down the road, they get a song, they come back and forth. Win, lose, or draw. Keith Scarborough King Dissonant has been there every single year. I myself have asked him on occasion about how difficult it must be for him to do this year after year after year with such consistency. And say, well, you don't think you should take a break and come again, refresh, recharge? But so committed is he, and that's the word I want to use tonight, committed. And it's derivative commitment. Because it takes commitment, it takes courage, it takes stick-to-itiveness to do what this man has done in culture, to make the contribution and the sacrifice that he has made in culture over all these decades. Nobody else in the history of the Caribbean, forget about Nevis and St. Kitts, in the history of the Caribbean has done what this man has done. And it tells you, because if he plays in the top 3, or he plays 6 or 7, it does not matter. he comes back next year and fights again. That, ladies and gentlemen, that commitment is the hallmark of good leadership. Look at him in the calypso, in the political arena. My apologies. He has run before. He came up against the great Joseph Parry and he lost. He didn't go and say, boy, this is not for me. He came back and he ran again. He lost. He didn't go and cry and say, Lord, woe is me. He came and he ran again and he lost. And he's now come and said to the people, listen, I believe that Parry is no longer around and in the race, that I ought to be given a chance. That's a man who has paid dues. That's a person who is committed to the task at hand. And what is the task, ladies and gentlemen? It's serving the people. When I've listened to this man and the passion that he has when he speaks about his beloved St. Thomas's Parish and what he wants to do, we joke with him. We said to him, boy, you're going to give away your whole salary because it's $500 to this student, $500 to this basketball team, $500 to cricket. We say by the time you're done, you don't have anything left. And his response to us is that it's not about money. It's about service. And you have to look at it and say, here is a man who time after time after time has been knocked down and he gets back up. That is what life is about, ladies and gentlemen. To be knocked down and get back up, dust yourself off and try again. And you must give the man credit because he has a degree of stick-to-itiveness, a degree of commitment. That is the hallmark of good leadership because it tells you that he will fight for you. I saw his good wife, the beautiful nurse, Jessica, and she said one thing about Keith Scarborough, if he make up his mind he's going to do something, he's going to fight for it. That's what you want in St. Thomas's. Somebody who's going to fight for you, not somebody when they get knocked down, they stay down. They say, oh Lord, woe is me, the sky is falling, like Chicken Little. No, somebody who's prepared to stand up and fight for you. And that, I believe, is what is so important about the man's character. And that perhaps is the word I should have come to, that I have now come to, character. It speaks to character. It says no matter how much you knock me down, no matter how much you defeat me, no matter how much you rub my nose and grind it into the dust, I will rise and I will rise and I will rise again because my passion to serve is stronger than anything that you could do to me. And that is what the man has been saying, and I'm saying to the people of St. Thomas's, look at him, a humble servant who has come and says, here I am, use me. Here I am, use me. Here I am, send me to the government to represent you. And I'm making this case because I have seen it with my own eyes, that tomorrow is a miraculous opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to make a change and to have a new beginning in the parish of St. Thomas's. For the good people there to join their brothers and sisters in St. Paul's, their brothers and sisters in St. John's, their brothers and sisters in St. George and in St. James, to join them and say, listen, this is a new approach in Nevis. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet and we're moving the country forward. Because the people have said and seen that the NRP has been weighed in the balance and found wanting. So this is our chance. This is our chance. And so we ask the people there to go out in their numbers and to support Keith Scarborough, to support the CCM tomorrow, to support the Hammer, and to vote to send that man to work for you. Not bother to vote to send somebody to opposition, knowing that they will not be able to achieve for you what you could achieve with a representative in the government. I mean, the two is it's like night and day. Night and day. And so we ask the people to make the right choice and to make the right decision. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a decision that was recently handed down in a matter involving Eustace Nisbet and the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation. I want to just touch on it for a few minutes. I'm going to get to it because I think it's going to feature very prominently in the election cycle ahead. But clearly we have tomorrow to deal with. But it is relevant now because it speaks to the type of leadership that the NRP now has, and why I feel emboldened to say to the people of St. Thomas's that the NRP of the greats like Sir Simeon and Joseph Parry, Tessie Nisbet and Victor J. Martin is no more. You have an NRP now of people who are all about self. All about self. All for them. None of thee. All of self, none of thee. Here the case. Decided by the judge, Mr. Justice Moisey, in the High Court. Young Eustace Nisbet was manager of the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation during the time when Mr. Hector, who now leads the NRP, was Minister of Lands and chairman of that corporation. During the time when Mr. Patrice Nisbet was a member of the board of that corporation. So you hear me? Eustace Nisbet, better known as Smarty, is the manager of the corporation. Hector, better known as Cutie, is the chairman of the corporation and the Minister of Lands. And Patrice Nisbet is a member of the board. The thing's set up. Eustace Nisbet shows up and says he has a piece of land. And whatever discussions then ensue, the board of the corporation, presided over as it is by Mr. Hector, the chairman and minister, and having in its membership Mr. Nisbet and others, the board comes to a decision that they will buy this land. They will buy the land, they say, for $187,000. A princely sum. Subsequent valuation of the land, based on the decision of the court, claimed that the land was worth, I think, $86,000 or $87,000. But they agreed to pay $187,000 for it. I'll leave that to one side. That was the agreement that was arrived at. That bargain was struck round about May of 2012. By December of 2012, the corporation had paid out $125,000 of your money and my money to Mr. Smarty. So he collected between May and December $125,000 of the agreed $187,000 price. So he wasn't paid all. We had an election in January, and the good people of Nevis voted for the CCM and the government change. Alexis Jeffers became the new Minister of Lands under a decent CCM government led by Vance Amory. And Alexis Jeffers, in January of 2013, took the decision that there was something not quite right about this transaction, and he would not pay any more money. And so no more money was paid because Mr. Jeffers became the new Minister of Lands, the new chairman of the corporation. And so he took the decision that the people of Nevis would not pay any more money. And so some $61,000 or $62,000 was owing based on the original price of $187,000 arrived at between Mr. Hector and Mr. Smarty and Mr. Patrice. Interesting. Mr. Smarty went off to school. Came back, he's now a lawyer. And Mr. Smarty decided that the best thing that he could do was to sue the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation for the balance of the money. So he said, yes, I collected $125,000. Out of the $187,000, I want the rest. So he sued. And that was the case that was before the court. Now hear what happened. When the matter gets to the court, lo and behold, the land is owned by Eustace Nisbet. Well, Smarty's name is also Eustace Nisbet. The only problem is that the Eustace Nisbet who owned the land is not Smarty's father, Tessie. So you see the smartness that was involved here. The land was not owned by Eustace Smarty Nisbet. The land was owned by Eustace Tessie Nisbet. And so now you have the cat among the pigeons. Because you can't sell what you don't own. And in all the papers before the court, according to the judge, Smarty Eustace Nisbet, that's the Smarty Jr., said he owned the land. Well, what a calamity. So in effect, it means that $125,000 of our money was paid out to Eustace Nisbet Jr., otherwise known as Smarty, as he purported to sell land owned by Eustace Nisbet, but that Eustace Nisbet was not him, but his father, the great Tessie Nisbet. You hear how confusion now arises? But here, what is more, in the court case, the chief witness for Smarty is who? Roberto Hector, who was chairman of the board and minister when the deal was struck in May of 2012. And who now is the lawyer? Patrice Nisbet, who was a board member of the corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not making this up, you know. I am not making this up. And so the judge said, well, boy, I can't do nothing with this. You have purported to sell land that is not your land. Eustace Tessie Nisbet has passed to the great beyond. God bless his soul. But Tessie left a wife. Tessie left other children. No probate, no letters of administration. Just his son, having the same name as him, come and say he's selling the land. And at no point the judge said in the proceedings did he say that he was representing his father's estate. So throughout, he said essentially, the land is my land. And one could understand, because the title apparently says Eustace Nisbet. And if the father named Eustace and the son named Eustace, the son said, well, you all Eustace are Eustace. And so the judge threw out the case and ordered young Eustace Nisbet to pay almost $10,000 in costs. And I have said, ladies and gentlemen, to the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, you must now seek to recover the $125,000 of taxpayers' money that was paid out under this transaction. But you must ask yourself, see how I've outlined it? I have not adorned it in any way. I ain't put on no dressing on it. I give it to you raw, just so it happened. And ask yourself, is that the NRP St. Thomas's Parish that you now want? You hear what I tell you involved? The same Patrice, the same Hector, the same people who engage themselves in all manner of things when they were in government, they are now the proprietors of your NRP, bought and paid for by some businessmen who themselves are what we call unelectable. They are the new proprietors of this once great party founded and rooted in the great parish of St. Thomas's. It is no more in St. Thomas. It's no more part of you. Because I know the people of St. Thomas's are decent, God-fearing, church-going people. You don't subscribe to that type of behavior. And so that is the relevance of that. As I said, it's going to feature, you know. It's going to feature in the campaign that is to come. But tonight I mention it here on the Powerhouse, because people must understand what is happening and what has happened. Now some fella tell me today, if Smarty was really smart, he would have taken $125,000 and hush him out. But they say too smart, that one smart do. Because he's so smart that he sued for the balance of the money, knowing that the Eustace Nisbet on the title is not him, but his dad, who was deceased at the time that the deal was made. And Hector shows up to give evidence. And Patrice shows up as counsel. I mean, good God, I couldn't make this up even if I wanted to. That, ladies and gentlemen, is just the latest, because there's been a series of similar events. It tells you what the new leadership of NRP looks like, what they sound like, and who they are. And we have multiple examples of who they are. Is that what St. Thomas is going to vote for tomorrow? Is that what you're going to vote for? Hector has already been rejected by the people of town, who tell him, I'll be done with you. Brand new leadership, brand new brand name, Spencer Brand. That's who we're going with. And the rate that Spencer is developing Charlestown, there's no coming back, baby. Spencer all the way. So you ask yourself the question, he said he leading the NRP, bought and paid for by some business people, and can't win a seat in St. Paul's, where the people have rejected him. I'm asking the people of St. Thomas's, that's what you're going to support? The historical grandeur of the NRP, rooted in barns, got Jessops and cotton ground. No more. So Simeon, God bless his soul, must be looking down from heaven and saying, my God, what has happened to my party? And Joseph Parry, perhaps part of why he went into retirement is that he himself can't take anymore. And so the people of St. Thomas's, I lay out these things for you. Facts, not fiction. Facts. I talk with all and I talk plain when I talk. Facts. To ask of you, is that what you're going to support tomorrow? Or are you going to say that it is time now for you to change course and to vote for the Concerned Citizens Movement in overwhelming numbers? It's in a clear message that you want to be aligned with the rest of Nevis. You want to be aligned with the vision of a decent government that is working for everybody. A government that doesn't pick out. A government that is committed to all the people of Nevis, including the good people of St. Thomas's Parish. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I've perhaps gone on for longer than I should. The meeting in St. Thomas's right now in the heart of Cotton Ground is going on. I'm asking people who are not yet there to head there. I myself hope with the grace of God to head there when I'm done here. Because I have to go and make the case one last time tonight on the political platform of the Concerned Citizens Movement. Make the case and say to the good people of St. Thomas's, tomorrow send your representative to government. Send your representative to the cabinet and let that person keep King this and that Scarborough, MBE, because even Her Majesty the Queen has recognized him for his contribution to culture. Send him to work for you in the cabinet. I look forward to welcoming him as the Premier of Nevis. My colleagues and I look forward to welcoming him to the cabinet and to give him work to do on your behalf as we continue to build this beautiful island of ours and build parish by parish, including, of course, the parish of St. Thomas's. So that is my soliloquy. It has taken me an hour and 6 minutes. I can go on for another hour, but I have to leave a little something in the tank because, of course, we leave here and we go, all roads lead to Cotton Ground. And so if you're not yet in Cotton Ground, we still ask you to come. Speakers are now speaking, and we will have a full slate of speakers for you tonight. Bring your whistle, bring your rag, make some noise. Let us rally, let us rally. Let us send Keith Scarborough to government tomorrow. That is a simple message. Let me now open the lines and take some calls. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mark Vantley.
Yes, good evening to you, please. If you have a radio, could you move away from it or turn it down
I'm
so
away
we can
from
hear
the
you?
radio, sir.
Okay.
I just a while ago heard you say you're speaking facts. Well, let's speak facts, Mr. Mark Vantley. Can you please give me an update on the reporter, Jonel Powell and Lindsey Grant, who has to go to a tribunal? Can the people of this country trust these two guys? Can you please give me the report? Can you read the report? This is fact.
Caller, I don't have a report with
You
me.
don't have a report?
No, I do not.
Unfortunate.
Well, it is not unfortunate, caller. I am focused on a by-election happening in Nevis tomorrow.
Oh.
If you're not aware of it, we have two candidates who are contesting a by-election tomorrow. And I'm sorry that I have little inclination to involve myself in what you want me to be involved in, because I am focused, laser-like focused on the parish of St. Thomas's tomorrow. All right?
It's so unfortunate, Mr. Mark.
It's not so unfortunate. You can call back next week and we can discuss your topic as long as you want it. All right? Okay. Thank you very much. We are taking calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. I mean no discourtesy, of course, to callers, but please understand that we are in the throes in Nevis of campaigning in a by-election that happens tomorrow. If you're going to call in to talk about the weather or talk about Donald Trump, I am not so interested, because we have important business that is important and critical to the people of Nevis happening tomorrow. So let us try and focus on what it is we are about this evening, because I am here to make the case that the Concerned Citizens Movement and our candidate, Keith Dissonant Scarborough, MBE, who will tomorrow, we hope and pray, become the Honorable Keith Dissonant Scarborough, MBE, will be sitting with us in the government after tomorrow. Let's go back to the phones and take some calls. Callers, we ask for your patience. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's try this caller. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you.
I just want to tell that guy who just called there that, you have a problem down here. What you do Friday, trying to mess around the Prime Minister them. Not Friday, Tuesday gone. And now we're trying to say you call him to ask you all kind of stupid question. Let's tell him cool out himself. He done in problem down here, hot water down here. He ain't have no call no mess with you up here. General them problem. What about down here? Look at my problem down here. You don't want to speak about it. So what do you want to speak about Donald and Mr. Grant? Anyway, good night.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. As I said, the reality is that I understand that there are a number of issues that are swirling. Some are relevant, I think, to the issue of a federal election which will come. And I believe that Mr. Grant and Mr. Powell, I'm aware of the situation, and I believe that the case will be made, and I think the case will be well made, because I understand what has happened, and I understand unfairness when I see it, and I understand overreaching when I see it, and I understand political agendas when I see them. But that is a matter, I believe, for another show. So next week we can engage. So the first caller you could call next week and we talk. Once, of course, you don't come with the usual Sesame Street, Ernie and Bert stuff. We could talk and we can discuss it. But right now, I want to hear the good people of Nevis, the people of St. Thomas's who might be listening, the people overseas who are concerned about this by-election tomorrow. I want to hear you. I want the CCM people, the NRP people, the people who are not yet decided. I want to hear your views on the simple message that the CCM has brought in this by-election. Send your representative to government. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Take that caller. I did not misappropriate nobody.
Caller, please, put your phone to one side. Listen to the radio tonight, and maybe next week, if you're up to it, you can call back, okay? Because you're not making much progress, nor much sense. The show tonight, we are focused on the local issues here in Nevis that are impacting the lives of the people of Nevis. You want to talk about, other things, and I'm saying to you, that those things might be relevant to you. They're not so relevant to my listeners this evening because my listeners are focused on a by-election that's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow. In fact, the polls open by my tally in the next, what? Let's say 3 and 10 hours. The polls are going to be open. So let's try and focus. If that's too hard for you, just keep trying. You'll get it. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening to you.
Well, Simaza, you can sing so sweet than how you could dance.
Well, I can't dance for you, so anything would be better.
So when I see you sing it, I say, well, praise the Lord, he could do something. At least he come from Harris Road. And the other thing, I hope St. Thomas is to like this story in the Bible with the two women. You know, one went down to the well, two they went down to the well, but one went down first, and she sing to the Lord while she washing, and to get the job done. And then they went back up, and the other one see her. And the other one asked her, oh, you get you so quick? She said, yes, the Lord help me. So she said, well, if the Lord help you, he will help me too. But then, when she picked up, she bundled and said she's telling nobody well, and then she went to a picnic. And she said, all day she sit down there, and she really tried one out on her. When she sit the next day, she tell the lady, well, how did God help you and not help me? You know, the lady tell her, well, I asked God for the strength to get the job done. And he helped me and get me all my clothes washed and I get them do. So you got to do the same thing. The Lord ain't going to come down and make the choice for you. You got to make the choice for yourself. So I hope St. Thomas is make the choice for themselves tomorrow and to do what they're supposed to do. So they make the right choice. The choice is their own. They have to live with it.
Well, I'm hoping that they make the right choice. They have another 10 hours to make up their mind, and I'm hopeful that they go out and they vote.
You have a good evening.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your very wise counsel. It is 9:15. We're taking your calls on 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
You know, we're talking, your boy from St. Kitts. The caller, don't worry about them there. He don't know the difference between federal election and by-election. Yeah? You stand firm and tell Keith Scrabber, I'm going to join you all on the victory chain.
All right, brother.
I'm going to join you all with Choi. I'm going to join you all. Because I think people, they don't understand what's going on the day today. You know, you got people that there's party prostitute. But don't take on about them because you're going to have the negative and the positive. But Mr. Mark Bradley, you stay on the negative side and tell the people of Nevis, it's up to them tomorrow at the poll what they want to do or what they want to do. And I know that you are going to be victorious tomorrow at the poll. And with team unity, we're going to join one party again. And we're going to remain in power forever and ever and ever. This is the basic. And this is reality. So when people call you with a negativity, you don't get you frustrated. You know why? You are the sheriff. And when you come on the boat from Nevis, everybody on the pier meeting to see the sheriff. And the sheriff is in town. Yeah? So you have said all. You have talked to the whole of Nevis. Tell Govey, tell all the people in Nevis to me, Panko, Allo, Scoot, tell all of them. The whole of Coal Hill, Pan Hill, tell all of them. Vote for something good, not something that is bad. If you listen, don't be like a dog who have a bone and going over the water and the bone look bigger and you drop it. Them days is over. This is reality. And I want to, and culture gonna call in and politics gonna call in, and you have motivation in saying it. So don't worry about nothing.
All right, brother.
You are the boss, and we're gonna stay the boss forever. You are the boss. God put you there, and you God blessed people. You hear? When God put you there, as the song said, when the devil said no, Jesus said yes. And once God put you there, you're gonna remain there. You know what I mean? And just treat the people of Nevis and think it's good. And don't worry about them. Don't worry what they say.
All right.
You're therefore. Thank you, boss.
Okay.
Get back in and get back in.
Thank you very much.
Love the whole of Nevis.
All right,
Let
brother.
stay focused.
All right. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, just again, the Concerned Citizens Movement is right now having its last rally, its final rally in the heart of Cotton Ground, as we make the case to the good people of St. Thomas's Parish that tomorrow, starting bright and early at 7 o'clock, that they go out to the polls. The polling stations, I understand, are going to be there at NEPAC and also in Jessops, at the community center, and in Barnesgut. Those, I'm told, are the polling stations. And tonight at the meeting, of course, we will be saying some more about that. That's the information you have as well. I hope that that's the information you have. But certainly at NEPAC, the Nevis Performing Arts Center, right there at Pinneys, that will be a polling station. And then in Jessops, you're going to have the polling station there. And I believe, I'm told, that in Barnesgut as well, that will be the polling station. So those are the polling stations for the people of Craddock Road. They'll be voting, of course, right there at NEPAC. And we are asking all the people on the northern side of Craddock Road that they come out in their numbers tomorrow. As I was talking about the number of things we've done in the constituency, I even forgot the Craddock Road is being done. There's somebody there who tells me that they are now almost 60 years old. Says the first time they've seen any work of a major nature like that being done on Craddock Road. And that is Spencer Brand at work, this government at work for the people of St. Thomas's as well. And then, of course, in the back of Craddock Road, taking you down right there to Seaspawn, we have done a beautiful road in the back there to provide some relief as well to persons who lived in the back there who were complaining. And so we continue to invest. And that's what I keep making the point. If the parish of St. Thomas's had benefited so much under caring CCM government, imagine how much more if your rep is at the table making noise for you. Imagine. Imagine if your rep is there making noise for you. And so the NRP campaign is to tell you, vote to send us to opposition. The CCM campaign is to tell you, vote to send us to government. Oh my goodness. A fundamental difference. And that is why we are asking for the support. And that is why we are asking for the people to come out tomorrow, early out, and make their mark for Keith Scarborough, make their mark for CCM, make their mark next to the hammer. That is what we're seeking to do. We're taking your calls, 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show. And, of course, we're inviting one and all still to head out to Cotton Ground. The party there is just getting started. We're going to have a big rally there. Bring your whistles, bring your rags, bring everything, and come out and be a part of that rally, massive rally to end this campaign and to usher in tomorrow a new dawn, Thursday, the 5th of March. We're going to make history tomorrow. I feel it in my bones that we're going to make history. Let's go back to the phones and take some calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Well, you was campaigning last night?
Yes, we were.
Oh, that's why I didn't see you in St. Kitts.
Yes, I had to ask that I be excused because we are in the middle of the campaign up here.
I was wondering.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful, a large crowd, everything. I believe she's going to win, you know. She had a lot of support, lot of good things. And she has...
Who are you talking about when you say she?
You're not talking about Miss Byron.
Oh, okay. All right.
So what you think I'm talking about St. Thomas's?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking.
No, I'm talking about St. Kitts.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was very good. I enjoy all of it. And I'm sure she's going to win. You know, I was wondering if that fella Douglas, when the campaign come, if he's going to come Nevis to campaign.
Mm.
Because that is a man, I mean, he don't care. He don't care what it... Cause he's a man who said Harris is giving Singis people tax money to Nevis when he know, well, it's not true. So I'm looking forward to see if he's going to come Nevis to campaign. Anyway, good night.
Thank you very much. We're taking your calls on 869-469-1616, 1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show. And we're just getting some information here so we can make some corrections. Forgive me. Yes, I did make an error. The polling stations are going to be NEPAC. That was correct. Jessup's Community Center. And I said Barnes got an error. Please forgive me. It is Cotton Ground Community Center. So we have 2 polling stations in Jessup's, 2 polling stations in Cotton Ground, and 1 at NEPAC. 2 polling stations at the Cotton Ground Community Center, 2 polling stations at the Jessup's Community Center, and 1 at NEPAC. So please forgive me. The polling station is not in Barnescourt, but in Cotton Ground. 2 in Cotton Ground at the Community Center, 2 in Jessup's at the Community Center, 1 at NEPAC, the Nevis Performing Arts Theatre, right in Pinneys. Those are the 5 polling stations that people will go to tomorrow to make their mark for Keith Scarborough, the Concerned Citizens Movement. That is where we'll go, and we look forward certainly to seeing you go out in your numbers and vote for the CCM. Now, yesterday I was told that some people, supporters of the CCM in the St. Thomas's constituency, are saying, well, over here normally vote for NRP, so we don't think it makes sense to go out and vote. And I'm telling you, listen, tomorrow history will be made, and I want you to be a part of it. Tomorrow history will be made. I want you to be a part of it. Go out and vote early, and go out and vote overwhelmingly for the Concerned Citizens Movement. St. Thomas's, come out of opposition and come into government. Come out of opposition and come into government. That is my invitation to you. And tomorrow you have the chance to do so. Let's go back to the polls, to the phones, I'm sorry, and take this call. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Yes.
I know the statement that you made was, referring to me. The idea is, it's not about the money. It was about the principle on how everything was done with the land in Cotton Ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Was the behavior, and it was very bad.
Well, could you give us, could you call or could you tell, because I don't think the public really knows. And I could say from my perspective, but you are a landowner whose land was taken. So could you give a little sense to the public of what happened?
Well, it is my wife, is the Saunders land, all that land above the, including the ball field.
Yes.
Okay, that land was taken over, promises were made and promises wasn't kept to pay back.
And just to be sure that this land was taken under the NRP administration.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Definitely. And it's just the attitude how, people there went about it. It's like, the idea is we can take land wherever we want.
So they took your land, your family land. Were you paid for it by them?
No, sir. No.
And how long were you waiting for your money?
Too long, probably over 10, maybe 15 years.
Oh my goodness. Uh-huh.
Yes. And if you didn't come on the scene, again, it's not a lot of money, but it's the principle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I'm happy that you were able to call, because I think that they did this all across the island. It's not just to you and your family.
Yes.
And we have, as I said, been fighting. Even now, I'm battling to try and find a solution for West Haven lands which were as well taken and not paid for. So.
And you did promise that when you got in, you're going to handle it for me, and you did.
Well, I'm happy that we could, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir. I'm very grateful for that, and thank you for calling. How's the weather in New York?
The weather is good.
Good. All right. Good.
It's good tonight, yeah.
Good, man. All right. Well, tell everybody I say hello and God bless you. Thank you.
Good. All right.
Okay. All right. Taking your calls, ladies and gentlemen. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Hello, Mark.
Yes, you're on the mark.
I find it strange that people who had land, that had title for the land, couldn't have been paid. But people were paid for land that didn't belong to them.
Well, you find it strange? I don't find it strange that they know what they were doing. But you make a very good observation.
And then those are the same people who go and made a decision talking about good governance. What was good in that?
Well, we are now seeing, because here's somebody calling in who was a victim of this practice of taking people land and not paying them. And like you said, these people had their title for their land.
And who didn't own land, who didn't own land was selling that doesn't pay.
Well,
and getting paid.
And getting paid. And had the heart to sue for the balance.
Those are the facts. These people crazy.
Right? Thanks, brother.
All right, man. Later.
All right. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls. We have half an hour or so left. The rally is going on. I'm getting messages to say that the rally is going on. It's going on in the heart of Cotton Ground. I'm here at Van Radio. I feel like I'm missing the rally, but I'm here because on the mark is also important to get the word out and get the message out. And so we are taking your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Just a gentle reminder that the polls, I'm told, open at 7 tomorrow morning, and the polling stations for the good people of St. Thomas's Parish at NEPAC. That's where the people in the Craddock Road area will vote. Jessops, you have 2 polling stations in the Jessops Community Center, and Cotton Ground, you have 2 polling stations in the Cotton Ground Community Center. 5 polling stations all told. I believe early out by 2 o'clock I want this to be all over so that we can by 6, 7 o'clock when the polls close at 6, by 7, 8 o'clock we can hear free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And CCM is now the party that will represent the people of St. Thomas's in the government, in the cabinet. That is the message, ladies and gentlemen. That message is clear as day. One side, the NRP saying, vote for me to send me to opposition. The other side, the CCM is saying, vote for me to send me to government. Oh, it's a gulf. That is as wide as the ocean in terms of positions. And we are saying to give the people of St. Thomas's that opportunity to send their representative into government to represent them, to sit around the table and be there for them. This caller who just called in, I wish I could put it as well as you. Because here it is, the NRP was taking lands from people, compulsorily acquiring, big words. You mean you take the land, you take it from them. 14 pieces of land up and down Nevis they took. They never paid for one. You hear me? They talk about good governance. Is that good governance? Imagine you have your piece of land, as this caller who just called in. His family owns land. It is their birthright. It belongs to them. The government comes and the government takes that land. And then the law says you must pay compensation promptly. They refuse to pay. And my government, the CCM government, under Vance Emery and now under me, we are struggling to find money to make people whole, to make it right with people. And then the NRP talks about good governance. What do they know about good governance? When they have wrecked people's lives and treated the people of Nevis like doormats. Because, my God, how could you take somebody's property and not pay for it? Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening. I'm not going to shut tonight, right?
We don't have any what?
Shut tonight.
The show is on right now. That's what you're talking to. You're talking to me on the show.
Set it up, Honorable Mark and Vance and Troy.
Yes.
And the lady who won in from this side. Yeah. All
right, my dear. Good to hear you. I trust and pray all is well with you.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Okay, I'll invest too.
All right. God bless.
And I want the lady, I'll invest too. Ladies go to ladies. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yes, ladies are sticking with ladies. Okay. All right. I get the point. But I think even on this occasion, the ladies of St. Thomas's are going to come out and they're going to vote for their children and their grandchildren. They're going to vote to have their representatives sitting in government. I believe that's what they're going to do because they understand this is not a general election. They understand this is a by-election and what it means and that the government is not going to change. So they might as well send their rep to the government to work for them rather than simply sending somebody to opposition for the sake of saying that they have a representative in opposition. So that's what we're asking. Now, reminder again, ladies and gentlemen, that the Big Blue Machine is in the heart of Cotton Ground. The heart of Cotton Ground. We're asking our supporters and, in fact, the whole of Nevis, come out, be in Cotton Ground with us tonight as we make the case as to why we are the best party to represent the people of St. Thomas's in this by-election tomorrow. We hope from that by-election to move right into a federal election and to capture all 3 seats on Nevis, because, let us face it, the CCM has demonstrated that it cares for the people of Nevis. It has demonstrated that it treats the people of Nevis with respect. Justice Caller tonight confirmed what I have been saying, that the NRP took the people's land, never paid. Now put yourself in their position. For those who are listening, we know how near and dear land is to the hearts of the people of Nevis. You have your piece of land left to you by your grandmother. The government just come and take it from you. And years and you can't get your money. And we, a decent government, a CCM government, have to come now and beg pardon and say we're sorry and try our best to find the money to pay. That's the difference between a reckless, worthless government and a government that is seeking to do what is right. That's the difference. Decency as opposed to indecency. Let's go back to the phones now. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. The messages are coming in. The meeting is going well in Cotton Ground. We're asking our people to come out still. I'm going to head there after. The sheriff is still coming. The sheriff has something to say. My voice isn't the best tonight, but I'm going to be trying my best to make the case in Cotton Ground tonight in our final rally as we send Keith Scarborough to cabinet and to the government. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, can I see at your office tomorrow? I have much credit on my phone. Can I see at your office tomorrow?
I will not be at the office tomorrow. I'm out on the campaign trail. Tomorrow's election day.
Oh. But I want to speak something with you. I'm going to have to make an appointment with you some other time.
Well, some other time, or perhaps you can try on Friday, God willing, but tomorrow I'm going to be on the campaign trail.
Okay, well, I'll try Friday morning.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, it is 25 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. But you know, you go back and I listen to these NRP boys, and these who have been bought and paid for by the unelected and unelectable businessmen on the island of Nevis. And I look at them, and I said to them, they're going to talk about decency. They talk about good governance. These are buzzwords now. And I said, really? You take all them people land, you don't pay for none, causing great hardship and suffering to the people of Nevis, and you call that decency and good governance? I am pleased, ladies and gentlemen, as the Premier of Nevis, whatever else may be said of me, and I have my shortcomings to be sure, I'm only human, but whatever else may be said of me, I am pleased that in the last sitting of the Parliament, I laid on the table in the Parliament the updated accounts, audited accounts for the Nevis Island Administration. Do you know that the NRP from 2006 until 2013 never laid in the House any audited accounts for the government? Do you know that? The Constitution requires that they do so, but they never did. Never did 1 year of audited accounts. And this government had to double up and triple up. It started under Vance Emery, and it concluded under me. And through the grace of God and the commitment of the auditor and his hard-working staff, we are now up to date. Praise be to God. But you talk about good governance when the very requirement of the Constitution that each year you must present audited financials for the NIA were never done. Never done under an NRP. Is that good governance? You ask yourself that question. So when I hear them prattling on and saying all manner of things, is that good governance? They're up and down on everything that happens in the country. This afternoon, We got the report to the cabinet through the Minister of Education, the Honorable Troy Liebert, that there's a problem at the Charlestown Primary School. And that teachers down there have been complaining, and some students, that there's some problem with the environment there. We're not sure what the problem is. But we had complaints before. And we went in a very proactive way, and we did some work on the roofs there, cleaned, took off the roof, and did some remedial work and replaced the roof. We thought that we had solved the problem. It is clear that we have other problems that have arisen. And so, to those who may not have had the notice, I am to advise you that we have taken the decision to close the Charlestown Primary School tomorrow and Friday. So there'll be no school tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, because we are sending in our construction teams to assess and to seek to work through the night if necessary to remedy the problems there, and so to have the school ready for Monday. And so we are going to be putting in all the effort we can. I say that tonight because I think it's important that the staff and students and parents of the Charlestown Primary School understand that as a government we are serious about their safety, we are serious about their health, and we have to have schools not only there but throughout the island which are child-friendly, which are healthy, and which are fit for purpose. And so we have heard your cries, and we are responding with as much alacrity as we can. We regret very much the inconvenience that it will cause having school closed. We had hoped that we could have come in during the Easter break and done most of what needed to be done, but we recognize that that is too long a wait, and that we cannot continue to have teachers complaining and students complaining. We have to do something, and we have to do it immediately. And that is why we have decided, on the advice of the technical people in the Ministry of Education, to close the school, and I'm told after consultations with the head teacher, to close the school tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, giving us, we hope, 4 days of good weather to work on the school, have our crews there, Public Works and the maintenance crew at Education, to seek to remedy the problem that has arisen. We are at this point not 100% certain as to where the problem emanates from, but we have a good idea, and we will be seeking to address some issues there that need to be addressed. As I said, we have done work there in the recent past, but we now recognize that that work was not enough. And so we apologize to the teachers, to the students, to the parents for this inconvenience, but we ask you to be patient with us. These problems arise from time to time in buildings. That is the nature of nature itself. But we are on it. We are proactive. We are seeking to remedy the problem, and we ask for your patience and your understanding in the circumstances. So whilst I've been focused on the politics tonight, I want to say to the good people of the Charlestown Primary School, the teachers, the parents, and the students, that we are with you, and we will do whatever is necessary to ensure that you have a safe and healthy environment in which to work. And for that, we ask for your patience, we ask for your understanding, and we give you our commitment. So there will be no school there tomorrow and no school there on Friday. And we hope to reopen on Monday with the problem solved. So that is our expectation, and that is what we're seeking to achieve. This is all about ensuring your safety and ensuring that we have schools that are child-friendly and that are fit for purpose. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. We have about 19 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Wish your candidate.
I'm sorry?
Party and you. I just wanted to wish your candidate, your party, and you, the good CCM leader, the best of luck tomorrow. Hope you do make history. If you do, I have a hashtag for you, CCM Strong.
If I make history what? I'm sorry?
I have a hashtag for you, CCM Strong. And do you know who you're talking to?
CCM Strong. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Good. Thank you very much. And CCM is strong, and we hope to get stronger. But thank you very much, caller. I really appreciate it, and thanks for the good wishes. I am hopeful that the good people of St. Thomas's go out in their numbers and vote overwhelmingly. while I'm just dealing with, of course, a number of issues, because I can't ignore the fact that the coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it is being referred to, has created quite a stir, not just here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but globally. Looking at it, I continue to say to our health professionals, our Minister of Health, the Honorable Hazel Brandy, that we must approach this with calm, we must approach it with the facts, and we must seek not to inject any hysteria into what we say and what we do. The coronavirus is real. It is something that we have to tackle with. We did not create it. It didn't emanate from us. But the world being a village as it has become, we must deal with it. And we must expect at some point it might affect St. Kitts and Nevis, as indeed we are now hearing it has affected St. Bart's and St. Martin. We must be prepared, and we have taken steps. Indeed, the stakeholders met today, the healthcare professionals, together with the minister, and I believe that something should have gone out this evening indicating what our level of preparedness was. We have, I know, stocked up on masks, We have also stocked up on things like hand sanitizers. We have ordered 2 additional ventilators. One should be here very shortly. The other should be here, I'm told, in about 2 to 3 weeks. We have identified a place for isolation if we were to get patients that are symptomatic. We have identified a place for quarantine if necessary. We pray it doesn't become necessary, but if necessary. And we are working very hard at our ports. We have today taken the decision and acted on the decision to bring back to work some retired healthcare professionals, some nurses, that we will be putting on the front lines at our airport, at our seaport, and of course having them available there so that they can assist in the screening of people and passengers coming in. We have taken steps at the airport. The airport and NASPA, I want to commend them for the proactive nature in which they have acted. And we have, ladies and gentlemen, continued to abide by the best practices. We recognize that people had said that we weren't saying much on the island of Nevis, but that is because we were partnering with and participating in all of the discussions that were emanating from the Chief Medical Officer, the CMO, and the team on St. Kitts. But today we would have met in terms of our local professionals, our local minister, and I believe that information would have been disseminated accordingly. I, of course, encourage us all to do as we do whenever we face crisis, which is to bend our knees and clasp our hands and bend and bow our heads and go to our Lord and Savior in prayer, and to ask Him for His blessings, to ask Him to protect us even though we know that we are sometimes undeserving. The beauty of our God is that He allows His rain to fall on the good and on the bad, on the righteous and on the wicked. He provides forgiveness for all who seek it, who genuinely come to Him and seek a new way. He has always had an abundance, an overwhelming river flowing with forgiveness. And so we go to Him as we go to Him always to ask for His protection, not only on us, but on our Caribbean brothers and sisters, on our neighbors throughout the world, on our friends and family in developed countries such as the United States and the United Kingdom. My own 2 daughters are studying abroad. I pray, of course, that God will watch over them, and that He will watch over all of us wherever we are, and He will comfort and protect us. Those who are sick, He will heal, and that He will bless us with the knowledge and the capacity to quickly find the necessary vaccines to handle this threat of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. In the meantime, we ask our people not to panic, because there's no need for panic. We ask our people to follow the basic rules. Wash your hands often. Wash your hands with soap and water. Avoid crowds as much as you can. Avoid sneezing. If you must sneeze or cough, cover your mouth, cover your nose. Use tissues if you must blow your nose and dispose of them. And generally, if you're feeling unwell, that you stay at home, you contact your medical professional. Working together, we feel that we can overcome. We must be prepared because of the nature of the world's traffic that the coronavirus may at some point arrive to our shores. But if it does, we must be prepared for it. And I am heartened that we are making every effort to be prepared, whether it's getting additional ventilators, additional masks, additional hand sanitizer, getting, of course, an area for quarantine, hiring retired personnel, health professionals to come back to help us over this period. We are preparing ourselves, and we hope and pray that we will continue to prepare. But in all this, I ask our nation to pray. I ask you to pray because prayer does solve problems. Prayer does allow us an opportunity, a bulwark, give us that spiritual guidance that we need and that spiritual fortification to gird our loins for what might come. And so as a government, I can tell you that we continue each day to prepare ourselves. We ask you to listen to your radio, watch NTV, watch social media. We'll be putting out various bits of information as we seek to educate you as more information becomes available. We will be working with you through press conferences and otherwise to ensure that our people have the necessary information. But be not panicked or afraid. Let us face this with confidence that we can overcome it, and let us do what is necessary. Let us take the precautions. Make sure that our children are washing their hands with soap and water, that we ourselves are doing the same regularly throughout the day, using hand sanitizer when soap and water might not be immediately available, but ensuring that we drink a lot of fluids. It is said that we must keep our throats moist, that we drink fluids, that if we start coughing, we don't cough on other people, in other people's faces and the like, but we do so in a manner where we cover our mouths, we cover our nose if we must sneeze, we dispose of napkins of the like that we might have used, and we ensure, ladies and gentlemen, that we look out for each other. I always talk in my speeches about being our brother's keeper, our sister's helper. These are the times when we need to be a community. We need to look out for each other. And I believe that God will be good to us because God has always been good to us. Undeserving as we are, God has always been good to us. And let us not be afraid to bend our knee and bow our heads and ask Him right now for our sustenance and for His protection. We need Him, we need His grace, we need His mercy, and we ought to be not afraid to ask of it. He has an abundance of it, and He has demonstrated time and time again to our people and to our nation that He is prepared to extend that grace and that mercy to us. And so we prepare as much as we can. We would like, of course, for coronavirus never to come to our shores, but we can give no guarantees that that is so. What we can say to the people is that we are preparing ourselves, and that if it were to come, we would be ready to address it. And so that is where we are in relation to this risk that we all face, and we pray and hope that we never have to deal with it. But just like the hurricane season, you pray and hope. But while you're praying and hoping, you are also preparing, and that is what we're seeking to do. So no need for panic, no need for any hysteria. I believe that what you need to do is listen to the bulletins and information and ensure that you do the basic things in terms of hygiene that we were all taught as young people, as children, and that will keep us safe. And that is what we are seeking to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also told that the testing is now available right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we have the testing so that any suspected cases we're able to get back the test in good order and with good speed. And that is therefore where we are and what we're seeking to do. I wanted to bring that to you as we continue to update each other. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me just check my phone quickly. Yes, the meeting in Cotton Ground. Let me see what I'm being told here. The CCM is having a massive rally happening right now in Cotton Ground. And let me just check my source. He's saying the meeting is going wonderfully. The meeting is going wonderfully. That is good news for me. And we are going to go over there in a few short minutes. So Cotton Ground, the sheriff is coming. The sheriff is coming because I have to speak on the microphone tonight. I would have done 2 hours here, but I need a bit more because we need to be able to speak to the good people of St. Thomas's Parish. One party, the NRP, is telling you send them to opposition. The other party, the CCM, the big blue machine, is telling you send us to government. Fundamental difference in result. We are asking you to vote for the Concerned Citizens Movement, vote for Keith Scarborough, vote to send your rep to government. The polling stations again, for those who might have just tuned in, we have a polling station at Neepak. We have a polling station, 2 polling stations at the Jessops Community Center and 2 polling stations at the Cotton Ground Community Center. So 2 at the Cotton Ground Community Center, 2 at the Jessops Community Center, and 1 at Neepak. And I believe that the Concerned Citizens Movement will do well in all of those polling divisions. I believe that when the people go out tomorrow to vote in the great parish of St. Thomas's, that they will vote to send their representative to government. And that is my plea. That is what we are asking you to do. We have about 6 minutes left. We are, of course, taking calls for those who may still wish to call in at 869-469-1616 or 869-469-1700. We have, ladies and gentlemen, a case to make. We believe that we have prosecuted the case in St. Thomas's Parish to the best of our ability. We feel that speaker after speaker has made the case that the best result for the good people of St. Thomas's Parish tomorrow is to have a representative in government. That is the best result. We have said that voting for the opposition achieves nothing for the people of St. Thomas's Parish at this stage in a by-election where there will be no change in the government. Sending this young woman to opposition, what is she able to deliver? Sending instead Keith Scarborough, a veteran, a stalwart in the community, to government will deliver for you all the benefits that having a representative in government can bring. All the benefits that allows you to have your voice heard around the table. You don't have to ask your rep to ask somebody in government to do something for you. You ask your rep in government to get that something done for you. That is what we're seeking to do. Tomorrow the polls will open at 7. The polling stations again, Neepak, Nevis Performing Arts Theatre. Nevis Performing Arts Center, I'm sorry. Jessops Community Center, 2 polling divisions there. Cotton Ground Community Center, 2 polling divisions there. And we're asking you to go out in your numbers. Early out, before you go to work, I want you to go and vote. And vote overwhelmingly for the big blue machine, the hammer. And since people know that I'm coming to the meeting, I'm hoping that people are going to stick and stay at the meeting in Cotton Ground. And for those who are on their way, please still come out. I am coming there to join you. CCM, I am coming to join you. I had duties here, but I'm coming there to join you, to be a part of this great movement. I feel it in my bones that history is being made. And I think that we are privileged, all of us, to be alive, to be healthy, to be here at a time such as this, standing, if you will, at the crossroads of our history. And I believe that tomorrow, for the first time in our history, indeed for the first time since adult suffrage, that the people of St. Thomas's Parish will speak with a clear and unequivocal voice, that the party that they trust, the party that can bring benefits for them, is the Concerned Citizens Movement. That in the Concerned Citizens Movement they see leadership that they can trust. They see clean Hebrew boys and girls who have come to serve, not themselves, but to serve others. Not those who are full of self and none of thee, but those who have come to serve others. And I believe that Keith Scarborough has shown the commitment. He has shown the tenacity. He has shown the stick-to-itiveness. He has shown the interest, the vim, vigor, and vitality, the verve to come to you time and time again and to ask you to give him that opportunity to serve you. And I think that it is time, St. Thomas's, that that level of commitment be rewarded, because you have seen him and you know that he will work hard for you. That is what he's asking, to work for you, not for himself, but for you, to represent you in the cabinet and in the government, to be your voice, your advocate, your friend in the government. And I'm saying that if you have benefited so much without a representative there, imagine how much more you will benefit when you have your representative sitting at the cabinet table, agitating and making the necessary noise for you. That is what this election is about. And that is why we're saying to God early tomorrow, 7, 8 o'clock, I want by 2 o'clock for it to be all over. By 2 o'clock, I want to get the call from those who are on the ground in St. Thomas's and say, Sheriff, it is all over. And the people of St. Thomas's have spoken with a glorious voice. And they have said that this time, in this election, they are sending the CCM representative straight to government. The NRP is saying, send us to opposition. The CCM is saying, send the representative to government. Fundamental difference in approach, and we ask and invite the people of St. Thomas's to do the right thing and to vote overwhelmingly for the CCM. If you're not yet in Cotton Ground, I'm asking you to meet me there. I will be there with my team, the Concerned Citizens Movement, with Keith Scarborough, our candidate, making the case, appealing to the people, saying to go out early, take your voter ID, take your passport, take your social security card, go to NEPAC, go to Jessup's Community Center, Cotton Ground Community Center, and vote. Vote overwhelmingly for the Concerned Citizens Movement, and let a new dawn arise in the parish of St. Thomas's. Craddock Road, Jessup's, Barnesgut, Cotton Ground, Westbury, and parts in between. This is your time, and we ask you to go out and vote, vote, vote in your numbers for the Concerned Citizens Movement. That's our show. Good night, and God bless you, and we trust and hope that you do the right thing tomorrow and vote for the Concerned Citizens Movement. That's our show.